Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're talking about something every man has experienced. When a woman thinks about you, but refuses to reach out. She misses you, remembers the good times, and feels the pull to reconnect, yet her pride won't let her say it. No text, no call, no sign that you're on her mind. But make no mistake, she is thinking about you. The question is, why won't she reach out? The answer lies in the silent battle between her emotions and her ego. She wants to break the silence but says, no, he should text first. I can't look weak. This isn't about whether she cares, but is willing to push past her pride. Most men make the mistake of overanalyzing, waiting, or worse, chasing. But the truth is, how you respond in this situation defines everything. In this video, we'll explain why she's stuck in this emotional dilemma, what a man of genuine self-respect should do, and why silence is your most potent response. Stay tuned, because by the end, you'll know how to handle this correctly. Let's get into it. 1. The battle between heart and pride. She stares at her phone, tempted to reach out, but something stops her. A voice in her mind whispers, "Don't do it. He might think you're weak. He should be the one to text first." Her emotions pull her one way, longing for connection, but her pride stands firm, refusing to risk rejection. This silent battle is not visible to the outside world, yet it dictates her every action, or inaction. Many men misunderstand this internal conflict, believing that if she genuinely cared, she would overcome her hesitation and make the first move. But for many women, primarily emotionally invested ones, reaching out first feels like surrendering power. It's not that she doesn't want to talk to him. She fears what it would mean if she did. The risk of appearing desperate, of breaking the illusion of self-sufficiency, keeps her fingers still despite the urge to reconnect. A man grounded in self-discipline and emotional strength does not concern himself with this struggle. He does not analyze her silence, nor does he wait by his phone, hoping for a message that may never come. Instead, he focuses on his growth, journey, and peace of mind. He understands that her hesitation is neither his burden nor a reflection of his worth. He does not seek validation through her attention, he finds it within himself. When a man carries this level of detachment and self-assurance, he shifts the dynamic without saying a word. A woman may wrestle with her pride, but deep down she senses when a man is unbothered by her absence. And ironically, it is often this very indifference that draws her back, because in a world where so many seek approval, the one who does not chase is the one who stands out. 2. The power of silence, why she feels your absence. People take things for granted when they feel secure in having them. Only when something is at risk of loss does its value become apparent. This principle applies profoundly to relationships. A woman may not consciously recognize the depth of her attachment until she feels the void left by a man's absence. His silence, far from being passive, becomes a powerful statement that says, "I'm not waiting, I'm not chasing. If you want me, you'll have to come to me." Even if she appears unaffected, the reality is often different. She may scroll through old conversations, check his social media for signs of movement, and debate whether she should reach out, but she hesitates due to pride or fear of rejection. The absence of his presence creates an emotional vacuum, forcing her to confront her feelings in a way that constant communication never could. This isn't about manipulation, but allowing space for a genuine desire to emerge. When a man steps back, he reclaims his sense of self. He no longer places his worth in whether she responds, calls, or acknowledges him. Instead, he understands a fundamental truth. Real power comes from letting go of what is beyond his control. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus taught, freedom is found in detaching from external outcomes. A man who embodies this mindset does not wait anxiously for a response, he continues with his life. And ironically, it is often when he has genuinely moved on that she begins to feel his absence most. If she values him, she will return. If not, he has already won by refusing to be dependent on her validation. 3. She's looking for clues about you. Even when a woman appears distant and ignores messages or acts indifferent, it rarely means she has lost all interest. Women are naturally curious about the men they have connected with, even if they choose not to express it openly. While she may not reach out, she is still looking for clues. Checking your social media, watching your stories, and even bringing up your name in casual conversations with mutual friends. Her pride, uncertainty, or emotional hesitations may hold her back from direct contact, but that does not mean she is not thinking about you. To provoke a reaction, many men resort to passive-aggressive tactics. They post cryptic song lyrics, vague status updates, or staged photos to spark jealousy or intrigue. They assume that by indirectly stirring her emotions, they can regain her attention. But these games only serve to erode their sense of self-respect. A man who truly understands his value does not seek validation through indirect signals. The most powerful response to a woman's curiosity is unwavering focus on one's purpose. A man who remains grounded, continues his personal growth, and does not adjust his actions based on her lack of response becomes infinitely more attractive. He is not waiting for her to notice him. Instead, he is busy building a life that naturally draws attention. Women are drawn to strength, independence, and a sense of purpose. The moment a woman senses that a man is unbothered by her absence, that he does not need her acknowledgement to validate his worth, she begins to take notice, not because he is trying to make her, but because confidence and self-sufficiency are inherently magnetic. Actual attraction is never about chasing, but becoming someone worth pursuing. 4. The weight of your absence. A man's true power is revealed not in how he reacts to losing a woman, but in how he carries himself afterward. When he remains composed, focused on his goals, and refuses to chase, his absence takes on a weight she cannot ignore. It is not just the loss of his presence, but the realization that she has lost something rare, something not easily replaced. Most men, when faced with rejection or separation, panic. They scramble to prove their worth, flooding her with messages, posting for attention, or attempting to make her jealous. But a man of actual value does none of these things. He does not act out of desperation because his worth does not hinge on whether she notices him. He moves forward with purpose, unaffected by whether she acknowledges it. And in doing so, he becomes unforgettable. Women are drawn to what they cannot fully possess. When a man becomes indifferent to her absence, she begins to feel his. Not because he is playing a game, but because genuine detachment is rare. She expects longing, pleading, and regret, but is silent instead. She expects him to wait in the shadows, hoping for her return, but instead he is already walking a path that has nothing to do with her. This is when realization dawns on her. Losing him wasn't just about losing a relationship, it was about losing access to something unique. The confidence, the emotional stability, and the presence that once gave her a sense of admiration and security are gone. She doesn't just miss him, she misses how he made her feel. A wise man does not perform for an audience. He does not adjust his actions based on whether she is watching. He stays focused on his journey, building his life, success, and peace. And in the end, that is what makes him truly powerful, because while she may come to regret her decision, he has already moved on, leaving behind only the weight of his absence. 5. Signs she's thinking about you. Women rarely voice their emotions outright, especially when longing for someone from their past. Instead, they communicate through subtle actions, slight hints that only become obvious when pieced together. She may post song lyrics that resonate with nostalgia, share a quote about missing someone, or casually bring up your name in conversation with mutual friends. She watches your stories but never reacts, maintaining a silent presence in your digital world. Perhaps she even starts frequenting places you both used to go, hoping for a coincidental encounter. These are not random acts, but calculated expressions of a lingering emotional connection. Yet, she will not admit she misses you outright. Vulnerability is uncomfortable, and revealing too much could place her in a position of emotional exposure. She may fear rejection, or perhaps she simply wants you to be the one to act first. Women often rely on indirect communication, hinting rather than confessing. The mistake many men make is overanalyzing these signals, seeing them as an invitation to pursue. While it's natural to wonder if she's thinking about you, focusing too much on deciphering her intentions pulls you away from your path. A man with a Stoic mindset understands that longing does not equal action. Just because she thinks of you does not mean she wants to rekindle what was lost. The best response is not to chase after signs, but to remain steadfast in your journey. If she genuinely wants to reconnect, she will make it unmistakably clear. Until then, a man should never lose himself in the ambiguity of a woman's unspoken thoughts. 6. The emotional push and pull. Women often move through relationships in a rhythm of engagement and withdrawal, a pattern that confuses many men. One moment she is warm, interested, and present. The next she becomes distant, leaving him questioning what went wrong. This fluctuation is not necessarily a sign of disinterest. More often it reflects an internal conflict, a battle between her emotions and her sense of pride, attraction, and fears. She may feel drawn to a man yet hesitate out of fear of vulnerability, rejection, or losing control of the dynamic. Many men misinterpret this inconsistency as a lack of genuine interest and react emotionally. They chase, demand clarity, or attempt to fix the situation, hoping to restore the connection. However, these responses usually push her further away. A man unsettled by her uncertainty signals that he is too emotionally reactive, diminishing his attractiveness. Women are not drawn to men who seek validation from them, but to men who remain centered, unaffected by the ebb and flow of external circumstances. The solution is to embody emotional steadiness. A man who remains composed communicates strength regardless of whether she is warm or distant. He does not beg for attention or attempt to force consistency. He understands that attraction is not built through control, but through presence and confidence. When a woman senses that a man is unfazed by her fluctuations, she begins to see him as someone different. Someone who cannot be easily influenced by uncertainty. This, in turn, makes her feel safer and more drawn to him. Attraction thrives in the space between certainty and mystery. A woman does not fall for a man because he demands her attention. She falls when she feels something deep yet unforced. The man who can navigate her emotional shifts without being swayed by them is the one who ultimately holds her interest. 7. The power of nostalgia. Why she revisits the past. As time progresses, a woman often revisits the past, questioning whether she made the right choice. When she first walks away, she reassures herself that it is necessary, that she's moving towards something better. But nostalgia has a way of creeping in, reshaping her memories, softening the edges of past conflicts, and amplifying what was once good. She wonders if she was too quick to let go, if she overlooked something meaningful. At first, she may feel confident in her decision. She embraces her new reality, fills her days with distractions, and convinces herself she has no regrets. But as time passes, she begins to notice the absence of the connection she once had. The way you made her feel, the security you provided, and the unique experience of being with you begin to stand out in contrast to her current reality. She remembers the inside jokes, the warmth of familiarity, the way you understood her in a way few others did. Slowly, her mind starts romanticizing the past, filtering out the negatives and magnifying the best moments. Despite these feelings, pride becomes her shield. Admitting she made a mistake is impossible, so she rationalizes her choices. She may tell herself she outgrew the relationship, needed something different, that returning would mean stepping backward. But deep down, she feels the pull. She catches herself thinking about you at unexpected moments. When she hears a song that reminds her of your late-night drives, when she passes a place you once went together, or when she encounters someone who, for a fleeting second, has a mannerism similar to yours. She wonders if you ever think of her too. Yet, the truth remains, nostalgia is a selective storyteller. It highlights the warmth and comfort while minimizing the struggles. It creates an illusion that the past was better than it was. But as a man, your job is not to wait for her realization, not to linger in hopes of reconciliation. Stoic philosophy teaches that we cannot control another's emotions or choices, only our own. If she genuinely saw your worth, she would not have left in the first place. If she comes back, it should not be because you waited, but because she recognizes the value of what she lost. And by then, you may have already moved so far ahead that the past no longer holds any power over you. 8. Why silence is the most powerful response. Men often mistake silence for indifference. When a woman doesn't reach out, the natural assumption is that she has moved on, lost interest, or simply doesn't care. But emotions are rarely that simple. Pride, fear, and uncertainty hold people back more than a lack of feelings. A woman may hesitate to make the first move not because she is uninterested, but because she wants to see what you will do in her absence. She wonders if you will chase, if you will beg for her attention, or if you will do the one thing that genuinely commands respect. Move forward without seeking validation. Most men make the mistake of chasing, over-explaining, or trying to force a resolution. They feel uneasy in the void, believing someone else will if they don't fill the silence. But the paradox is that the more a man seeks validation, the less valuable he appears. True confidence comes from the ability to detach, to trust that your presence was significant enough to leave an imprint, without the need to remind her. When you send that last message, and she doesn't respond, your next move should never be to send another. Your power lies in knowing your value doesn't decrease just because she takes her time. Epictetus once asked, "How long will you wait before you demand the best for yourself?" This question applies to relationships as much as it does to life. A man's worth isn't determined by whether she reaches out, but by the person he becomes when she doesn't. The way you handle silence determines how others perceive you. The man who collapses under the weight of uncertainty, who desperately tries to regain her attention, communicates that he values her more than himself. But the man who uses that silence to become stronger, more focused, and more self-assured naturally shifts the dynamic. The less he needs to prove, the more she begins to feel his absence. Women are drawn to men with the strength to walk away, not out of bitterness, but self-respect. Silence is not a tactic. It is a reflection of emotional stability. It is the ability to sit with discomfort without reacting impulsively. When a woman senses that you are unaffected by her distance, she questions her feelings. She wonders why you are not chasing, and seems perfectly fine without her. That curiosity pulls her back, not pleading, no explanations, not desperate attempts to force an outcome. The man who masters silence doesn't just regain power in relationships, he reclaims power over himself. He understands that his value isn't tied to someone else's response. He knows that the moment he stops trying to prove something is the moment he becomes undeniable. And that is why, in the end, the man who moves on first always wins. 9. Should you reach out first? A man's decision to reach out to a woman should come from a place of self-respect, not an emotional impulse. Many men act out of loneliness or the fear of losing a connection, mistaking their temporary emotions for genuine conviction. But a man grounded in values does not chase or beg for attention. He understands that if a woman truly cares, she will push past her pride to reconnect. Attraction is not built on one-sided effort. It thrives when individuals recognize and respect each other's worth. Too often, men let their emotions dictate their actions. They feel a void, so they reach out. They feel uncertainty, so they seek reassurance. But acting from a place of weakness only reinforces the dynamic of neediness. A man with self-respect does not let fleeting emotions override his standards. He does not break his boundaries just to receive temporary validation. Instead, he embraces the power of patience and lets actions, not words, reveal the truth. The most substantial move a man can make is not to seek revenge, nor is it to engage in mind games. The real victory comes from becoming the best version of himself. When a man focuses on his growth, purpose, and fulfillment, he naturally attracts what is meant for him. He no longer worries about whether she will return because his self-worth is no longer dependent on her response. He understands that a woman who truly values him will make an effort, and if she doesn't, then she was never meant to stay. A man who operates from self-respect projects a quiet confidence that women find irresistible. He does not need to convince anyone of his worth because his actions speak for themselves. When a man moves on with dignity, he forces a woman to see him in a new light. She realizes what she lost, not because he told her, but because his absence makes it clear. This is why the man who moves on first always wins. He does not linger in uncertainty, nor does he wait for closure. He becomes his closure. The mistake many men make is assuming that indifference means playing a role. However, genuine indifference is not an act but a state of mind. It is the understanding that life continues regardless of one person's presence. The moment man internalizes this truth, he steps into his power. He no longer asks, if I should reach out. Instead, he asks, am I living in a way that makes her reaching out irrelevant? And when a man reaches this level of detachment, he no longer chases, he attracts. The true power lies in self-mastery. When you stop seeking validation and focus on your growth, you reclaim control over your life. She will push past her pride and make it known that she genuinely values you. If she doesn't, you've already won, because your happiness never depended on her. So remember, silence is powerful. It makes her feel your absence. Do not chase validation. Stay focused on your path. Pride keeps her from reaching out, not indifference. Only act when it aligns with your self-respect, not emotions. And the best revenge is not revenge at all. It's becoming the best version of yourself. Now, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you ever experienced this dynamic? How did you handle it? Share your experiences in the comments below. And if you found this video valuable, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more insights on self-mastery, relationships, and personal growth. See you in the next one.